Alrighty, well, let's get started. Good evening. Welcome to our regularly scheduled Zoning Advisory Commission meeting. It is February 7th, 2024. I call this meeting to order. Jason, will you be taking roll?
Yes.
Please.
Christ,
Here.
Here.
Mulligan,
Here.
Norton,
Here.
Russell,
Here.
Zaccaro.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, can you please confirm we are in compliance with the Iowa Open Meetings Law?
Yes, we are.
All right, very good. All right, in front of you are our meeting minutes from January the 4th. I will hear any modifications or comments, or entertain a motion for approval as submitted.
I'd like to make a motion for approve as submitted.
Very good.
Second?
All right, we have a
All right, who
motion.
said
and we have a
that?
second.
Who said seconded? Okay, great. Thanks. Christ,
Aye.
Lorman,
Abstain.
Norton,
Aye.
Russell,
Aye.
Zaccaro,
Aye.
Mulligan.
Aye. Okay, those minutes are approved as submitted. Okay, so this evening we have two public hearings. No action items this evening. So our first item is a traditional rezoning at 1646 Asbury Road. So what I'll do is ask our applicant to step forward to the podium here. You'll state your name, your address, and what it is that you're looking for from the commission. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello. Name is Dusty Rogers from Doghouse Lounge, 1646 Asbury Road. We're looking to rezone from a C2 to a C3.
Okay. Can you maybe share a little bit of the reasoning on why?
Business reasons right now, place is getting pretty busy. We want to get a little bit more space. We're trying to separate the actual bar area and the seating area for eating, and we're trying to incorporate a game room, so to speak, moving our pool tables and dart boards more towards the back end of the room. Place is getting really busy, so we need a little bit more space,
Sure.
putting it simply.
Okay. Very good. So Dusty, before you sit down, any of our commissioners have any questions for Dusty just yet?
Nope.
All right, very good. Dusty, you can take a seat real quick.
Thank you.
All right, so this is a public hearing. So what I'm going to do is open it up to the public for any input right now. All right, very good. Seeing none, I will close it. Dusty, typically I'd ask you if you had a rebuttal to anybody's comments, but there were none, so I'd assume you're good. All right, very good. Sheena, I believe it's
Correct.
your report? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Mulligan. Sheena Moon, Associate Planner. So the request before you this evening is to rezone the property at 1646 Asbury Road from C2 Neighborhood Shopping Center to C3 Neighborhood Commercial. The Doghouse Lounge has operated on within the property and in this existing structure for a number of years, and is considered to be a legally non-conforming structure, or business rather, and that it was established prior to our current zoning regulations. And so the applicant they mentioned they're seeking to expand the Doghouse Lounge into another portion of the existing building. So this is not an expansion of the building itself, it's just an expansion of this use within the building. So the code says that for non-conforming uses, any expansion would not be allowed. And so what they're seeking to do with this rezoning would be to rezone to C3 general commercial, in which a bar or tavern use would be a permitted use. So that's the primary focus for the request. We did go ahead and provide a list in the staff report of just a kind of a comparison side by side. And actually, before I jump to that, I just want to provide an aerial image here of just the neighborhood. So as you can see on the map here, it is kind of a mixed-use neighborhood. The property that we're discussing here is outlined in blue. There's residential to the east here. And as well as this kind of intersection of University and Asbury is really a mixed use intersection. So we have a couple gas stations, there's a tavern, and a couple other different type commercial uses, and then expands kind of further out to more residential uses within the neighborhood. And so then I just want to take a look at the chart that we provided in the staff report, just to give a side-by-side comparison of what's permitted in the C2 zoning district versus the C3. As you can see, there are a number of additional uses in the C3 that are not permitted in the C2. And although that is the case, it is probably important to note that the site itself may restrict some of these types of uses. There may, some of these uses would require perhaps a special exception or a variance of some sort, or perhaps some site design waivers in order to accommodate these uses. So that's just something to note. But the commission may wish to discuss whether they feel any of these other uses would be appropriate for the property. With that, staff does not anticipate that this expansion would greatly increase traffic to the project site, largely because it is expanding into an area that was previously occupied by another use. So again, not expanding the overall footprint of the building, but just expanding this use, thereby limiting other uses that could go into the structure. So that's something to consider. I will also note that parking for the property is code compliant. So we took a look at the parking in the area. The property owner actually owns 2 other lots to the north. And so we look at that as a zoning lot. And so there is enough parking in the area to accommodate this proposed expansion. And with that, I'm just checking my notes here. I will say that the comprehensive plan, the future land use map, does call out this property as a mixed-use property. And with that, staff is happy to answer any questions that the commission may have this evening. Thank you.
Sheena, I do have a question, clarity. The gas station to the west, 2335, is that a C2?
Yes, that is currently C2.
C2, and then we're C3 across University there?
Yeah, there is a C3 with conditions down across University, yes. The dark red there.
So traditionally, at least this group on the zoning commission, there has been some conditions that we've placed on properties that we have moved from a C2 to a C3. I'm not suggesting that's something we do. I do think another point of comment is, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I say this, but isn't that a future roundabout?
So yes, well, if you'd like to speak to that.
Yeah, so
Someday.
there is a plan for the east-west corridor study, so there is a future roundabout. There is currently a building permit moratorium in this area, and this property is actually included in that. There are some things where improvements can be made to a property. The engineering department, planning staff actually did go out to the site, met with Mr. Rogers with regards to the property. Based on the improvements, basically it's removing a wall and it just expands some space. It's a minimal improvement. It's not a substantial improvement that would kick in the building permit moratorium to prevent him to do that. So that's all been evaluated. There are current site design standards that are going into place right now. They're evaluating the corridor, how much of that space is going to be occupied. You do see a couple gravel lots are located there. Those are actually city lots, part of the roundabout proposal location. As we go through the design, they'll be determined, how much of the land, where is that going to be located for the roundabout at the area. As Sheena's indicated, evaluating the site, the zoning lot has the required amount of paved off-street parking for that. So we thoroughly vetted this request with the engineering department, specifically with the roundabout discussion, because there has been other inquiries about the intersection for that. The other thing I just want to note is this intersection has really changed over the years. It's really kind of transformed. We have some residential houses that have been converted to businesses. It is a high traffic corridor, which typically you'd see along a C3 general commercial area. I did receive a phone call from Ken Cook of Ken Cook Realty. He owns the property directly across the street at 1655. He's a realtor by trade. I explained the request to him, and once he understood, he's like, oh, I have no problems. This place has been operating as a bar/restaurant for over 50 years. And there was some discussion, maybe a concern about maybe some residents that are located adjacent to it. There is a 20-foot grade change between the two, and there's not direct connectivity to it, and our office has never received any complaints with regards to off-street parking or the impacts for it. So when we spoke with Mr. Rogers to explain them what he would have to do, the rezoning to C3 would allow him to be a more conforming use of the location. So lots along about wooded answer, for your simple roundabout question.
Well, I bring it up to suggest that we have traditionally put conditions on a C3 to be aware and conscientious of the neighbors nearby, and in this case, in the future, there generally won't be any neighbors to the south. It'll be a roundabout. So converting to a C3 without conditions probably makes sense for this
Are there
property.
neighbors right behind though is it Avoca or whatever that's behind there?
They're all noted, so we notify everyone within 200 feet of the property, so they receive notices. We haven't received any complaints or any inquiries or anything with regards to it, to the property. So really it's status quo. When you look at it, you're not really gonna notice any change. It's really just the interior modification, because we have a requirement that a legal non-conforming use is not allowed to expand. In this case, he's simply removing a wall, shuffling pool tables and dartboards and game room back to where the bakery section of the Donut Boy used to be located. So the footprint of the building isn't physically changing. It's a small enough modification that's not increasing a major value to the property. Say someone wanted to come in here and demolish the building and put in one of these other permitted uses that's listed in C3, that's going to impact a substantial change. That's going to really kick in the moratorium. And then at that point, we're going to say, hold, we got to wait off till we figure out a little bit more about this roundabout. So.
Very good. All right. Well, I would love to entertain a motion from our council, our commission, excuse
I'd
me.
like to make a motion to rezone the property at 1646 Asbury Road from C2 Neighborhood Shopping Center to C3 General Commercial.
I'll second.
Great. We have a motion and a second.
Christ,
Aye.
Lorman,
Aye.
Norton. Russell,
Aye.
Zucchero,
Aye.
Mulligan.
Aye. Very good. Okay, that motion passes, and that will go before City Council on February 19th. Mr. Rogers, thank you for coming in. Have a great night. Okay, our second public hearing is a traditional rezoning. Our applicant is the Dubuque Metropolitan Area Solid Waste Agency regarding the property on Airport Road. Is our applicant here? Very good. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so we're seeking to rezone the area of the property that's
I'm
currently.
sorry, real quick. Your name, address?
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ken Miller. My address is 1462 Autumn Ridge Lane. I'm here representing the Dubuque Metropolitan Area Solid Waste Agency as the Solid Waste Agency Administrator. What we're seeking to rezone is the property down by our gas plant facility, which is currently zoned ag, which is how most of our land out there was zoned prior to the landfill operating out there, and to rezone the property to heavy industrial, similar to the activities going on at the landfill site. So that's what the request is for.
Very good. Ken, thank you. I'll have you sit down and we'll open it up for public hearing. With that, this is a public hearing, and I will open up the floor, and I will close the floor. Very good. Travis, if you would, please, staff report.
Thank you. Assistant Planner Travis Shrubble, Travis Shrubblegen. So this property, the ag property displayed here, it was brought into the city around 1997. It was bifurcated essentially by the Airborne Road right away there. So the two separate outlines are technically a single parcel, which comes into play maybe later. But at this point, we're just looking for everything green to turn gray. As you're going from ag to a heavy industrial. The biogas plant was permitted a couple years ago, 2021, and that was permitted as a quasi public utility. And so that's a listed use in the ag district. In this case, they're going to do a larger project for drop off for residential and smaller load residents of the area. And in that case, they need to upzone into the heavy industrial so that they can be a listed permitted use. To the south and west, it's heavy industrial. The landfill obviously is to the west. There's some contractor shop type uses to the south. And then there's the highway separating the C3 district to the east. There's a planned industrial district to the north. And then there are 3 single-family residential districts there, or parcels there. Those are all encumbered by the Airborne Road right-of-way and are owned by the city of Dubuque. So any projects there in the future would need some reviews. We have received no public input, and the project itself on the property would need to go through development review. And that's all I have, unless you have questions.
I feel like when you present things by saying it's currently green and we'd like it to be gray, it totally resonates.
That was the idea.
Crystal.
All right, any comments or questions from our commission? All right, seeing none, I would entertain a motion for this request.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to rezone the property listed from ag to HI heavy industrial.
Second.
Very good. We have a motion and we have a second. Jason, if you would.
Christ,
Aye.
Lorman. Norton,
Aye.
Russell,
Aye.
Zucchero,
Aye.
Mulligan.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes and will go before City Council on February 19th. Thank you. Okay, those were our 2 public hearings. Our next item is any items from the public. Are there any? Seeing none. Our next item, items from the commission. Anything to discuss this evening? It's good to see you all. Happy February. Any items from staff? Great. Seeing none. I'll entertain, what's that? I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.